before we do that, we need to set the foundation. So, once again, it says the obscure mound builders were indigenous blacks of North America, ancestors of America's Ouachita Empire. It says that though so many have been deliberately destroyed, over 200,000 ancient pyramids and huge mounds of earth in the shape of cones, animals, and geometric designs can still be found from the southern coast of America to Canada. These structures were built by a so-called obscure. You don't know what obscure means? Let's look it up. What does obscure mean? It says not discovered or known about or uncertain, right? It said these structures were built by so-called obscure or unknown people, largely known as the mound builders. The truth about the mound builders is suppressed. Why? Because they were an advanced civilization of dark-skinned, woolly-haired blacks who were indigenous native to North America, kin or related to the Olmecs of South America. Okay? At one time, the African and American continents were joined. All right? So, it says here that the black mound builders were the Ouachita Moors or the Moors, the original inhabitants of North and South America. Many, really most, blacks in North America or North America are unknowing descendants of these mound building indigenous blacks and not descendants of African slaves. It says America is America. Therefore, Columbus was not entirely wrong in calling these people Indians. For the true meaning of India means, for the true meaning of the word Indian is black, is a black person. Indian means black, as in India or indigo, the darkest color of the spectrum. We just setting the foundation here. So, let's go here to the 1828 Webster Dictionary. Type in American. We just setting the foundation here. And it says American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So the original word for American, on America pertaining to America was Aboriginals, or the Aborigines. Okay. Now,
so we talked about the Ouachita more. Now, why is that important? Because it's got a name. Ouachita. Now here it comes. Where is Ouachita, Ron March? Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever heard of Henry Turner? Have you ever heard of, I better pull the name up here because I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Where we at? I'm going to pull it up. Have you ever heard of, I never pronounced, Vertice? That's her first name. She's the queen mother of the nation of Ouachita Moors. Have you ever heard of her? Nope. I know you ain't. Because what we're really talking about is you got to have land in order to have a nation. And to have a nation, you want your nationality to be of your land. So I'm trying to tell you that Ouachita is U.S. of A. This is your land you're living on. I know. You just can't. It just don't fit. I know. But I'll ask you a question. Let's eliminate some of those doubts. Because you know I talked about unadulterated truths, undistorted truths. And then we could talk about disbeliefs that we all have. We can talk about that. But the bottom line is, where have you ever heard of a nationality, a person of a nationality, being the president of the land that's not his own land? What do I mean? When have you ever heard of a Chinese running for the president of France? That tribe, that French tribe is there. Big Mama's there. It's already there. They ain't let nobody else in. Let's go and take another step. Let's go to England, Queen of England. After they stole the land from us, Because all of our heritage, deep heritage, the Moors' deep heritage, the first knight was a black man. But once they got it away from us, they locked it in and took it with a flag and all the trimmings. And everything that comes in that's not European, they got a label for. They got that daggum Jamaicans in there. Now, I ain't been over there, but I've talked to them. You know they got them over there. And there's a whole lot of them over there. They are English. They're not Negroes. They were born there in that land. And their history is in that land way before that Pepperwood showed up. I don't know how they're studying over there. Because they always say the United States is where the truth got to come out of here. So once we free ourselves, the earth's going to be free. And I know that Queen, through their revisionist history, England has always been a dog when it comes to taking what ain't theirs. Why would they do that? Because you can't grow a damn thing on England. It's a rock. It's an island of nothing but rock. They are lucky to grow a flower. That's why they always struggle to have gardens over there. But you never hear them talking about any products. They don't talk about any industries. You don't even think about that. You're so flooded in. The United States is so hung up with that rap music and all kind of basketball and all kind of bowling and all kind of bullshit. You don't even think. England, you can't tell me nothing that was produced in England. And they are the oldest. That was the first country you ever heard about that was kicking ass and taking names. The Knights, a Templar, and all that kind of stuff. The Crusades. Oh, help us. Help us. And all we got to do is think. Just shake your head and say, to hell with that. Everything that I've been taught is a damn lie. So start researching everything that they put in your noggin. You'll begin to clean it out. Dust and smoke start coming from your head. Damn. Get a broom, sweep your hair, stuff like that. Unbelievable. So now, the Wachita Dedu Yamanyu, Moors, was the original word for the Wachita Moors. They dug the Mayu, and they were called Amuuru, Amurru. Somebody look that up in the chat room. Look that up for me in the chat room, and tell me what the definition of that word is. I'll spell it for you. Oh, damn, I just knocked it out. Amurru. Now, the Amuuru, Wachita Dedu Damayu Moors were originally a group of priests from Egypt, also known as Dogons, Olmec. These are heavyweights, y'all. Mayans. We are ancestors and related to the Dogons. We're related to the Mayans down in South America or Central America. And we're related to the Olmec. And you see them big, I'm gonna look at this big noggin I got. Look just like a Olmec. The term Wachita is a corruption of, here I go, Ushata. Ushata. U-R-S-A-H. Ushata. T-A-W. The father and mother of the mystics. Mystics were the heavyweights, y'all. Dogons, Olmec, Mayans, Aztecs. All of these were the mystic ones. They still can't figure out how the Dogons got up in the sky and created their own creator behind a star. Cyrus. They call it the Black Star. It only comes out every 25,000 years. How the hell they know that? That fighting's a European because he's only been here for 6,000 years. Let me tell you a little story.
This is about to blow your mind. The Wichita Moors were known as the Mound Builders and the Ancient Ones, and are considered to be the oldest indigenous people on the planet, according to the United Nations. You have mounds found all over the Americas, but especially all up and down the Mississippi River. In fact, you have so many mounds built along the Mississippi River that academics nicknamed the people that built them the Mississippi Mound Builders. This is a significant fact because mounds are associated with Mizraim, which is Egypt. You have virtually no mounds in Africa. Therefore, the sheer number of mounds in the Americas and pyramids is a strong indication that the Americas is Mizraim, Egypt. Book reference. Another clue that North America is Lower Egypt is Egyptian place city names along the Mississippi. Memphis, Tennessee, Cairo, Illinois, Thebes, Illinois, Karnak, Illinois, Egypt, Georgia. Illinois has a huge territory of land in southern Illinois that is known as Little Egypt. Wow.
Check this out. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. I just figured something out too. Look what it got. It got Renoke Moran. Now check this out. Now remember I was showing you these pictures before? I never figured it out. This is fucking Virginia right here. Let me see something. This is Virginia right here, yo. This is Renoke. This is how they spelled it differently. It's the same way. It's Rokende. The same way it's pronounced. It's pronounced similar to this. Renoke. It's pronounced. Listen. It's pronounced the same way. That's Virginia right there. Now you know what? I honestly did not know what Renoke was. I mean, and maybe that's me being ignorant to the research myself. But it's like I said, there's so many doors to open with this, man. And sometimes, you know, I see 5 or 6 doors that I can open, but I only can open on one because when you open one door, it leads you to 6 more doors that you got to do more research on. You know what I'm saying? So you have to do research on every last speck of this, man, to really be proficient. But yo, check this out though. This is leading us to something else right here. So we see Rokende. Look. Yo, I got so many of these pictures, man. That was one of them right there. Here go another one. Now I understand, yo. And this is checkmate again. This is checkmate. I need to really check over his stuff and see that he take any of these people back to Europe with him. That's what I really needed to really do. I'm gonna do some further research. Now we know why he's on that emblem of America. Now look, Rokende Moore. Rokende, yo, man, listen up, y'all. Listen up. All right, check this out. All right, I'm about to go in on this, man. All right. Now, if Sir Walter Raleigh was the first person to come to Roanoke Island, and I'm telling you, this is Rokende, Roanoke, Rokende. It's the same fucking thing, yo. It's the same fucking thing, okay? Rokende Moore. They're telling you that they did not know anything about tobacco until they came here. Okay, so they said tobacco, they just told you, potatoes and tobacco wasn't even common in Europe. So they telling you they came to the island of Rokende on the shore, on the coast of what we call North Carolina. They named it Virginia after the Virgin Queen. So we now know that Virginia was North Carolina too. We now know that, and Maryland, all of that shit was. So listen, check it out. Rokende Moore. That's why they calling them a Rokende Moore. So that much means that he referred to the people here as Moors too. That's the reason why you see them calling them people black or Moors in Europe. You understand now? I don't know. Now this is something interesting now really, this is when the research gets a little tricky now, because I need to really study this guy. Because now I'm thinking that he took some of these people back. These must be from his pictures. Because he's the only one when I did the research that mentioned Rokende. And when by the time Powhatan story started, it was already called Virginia. Because he named it Virginia after the Virgin Queen when he first went there in the 1500s. So when Chief John Smith came back to what we call Jamestown, Virginia, it was all because Jamestown is a European name. Okay? So that's telling you right then and there. Alright, so boom. Look, yo, he was calling them more. So I mean, anybody want to debate me on this, or anybody feel as though I'm wrong about this? Listen, man, I'm not trying to debate none of my people I love, man. I love all my subscribers. I love all the people who comment. I'm not telling you you're more with feds. I'm not telling you I'm not telling you none of that. I'm just going by what this means. D.E. Rokende Moore. Walter Raleigh. Sir Walter Raleigh was an English adventurer and a writer who established a colony near Roanoke Island in present-day North Carolina. He was imprisoned in the Tower of London and eventually put to death for treason. Synopsis. Alright, so Sir Walter Raleigh was an English explorer, a soldier, and a writer. At the age of 17, he fought with the French, Huguenot, and later studied at Oxford. He became a favorite of Queen Elizabeth. After serving in the army in Ireland, he was knighted in 1585, and within 2 years became a captain of the Queen's Guard. Between 1584 and 1589, he helped establish a colony in Roanoke Island, present-day North Carolina, which he named Virginia. It's accused of treason by King James. Sir Walter Raleigh was in prison and eventually put to death. All right, so we ain't gonna go on his early life. We're gonna touch it. I think the other article is more has a lot. Whatever. So Let's read this. The favorite of Queen Elizabeth. Let's see why he was a favorite of Queen Elizabeth. Between 1579 and 1583, Raleigh fought in the service of Queen Elizabeth in Ireland, distinguishing himself with the ruthlessness at the siege of Shimwick and establishing English and Scottish Protestants in Munster. It's a tall, handsome, and superbly self-confident. Raleigh rose rapidly at Elizabeth court upon his return and quickly became a favorite. She rewarded him with a large estate in Ireland, monopolies, trade privileges, knighthood, and the right to colonize North America. In 1586, he was appointed the captain of Queen Guard, his highest office of court. I'm sorry, I'm butchering that word. You already know how it goes. Extravagant. Sorry about that, y'all. Extravagant in his dress and conduct. The legend that he spread his expensive cloak over the pudding for the queen has never been documented. But I'm sorry, I said poodle. Sorry about that. Puddle for the queen. So you know how they always got the damsel in distress and the woman standing by the puddle and she don't want to step on the puddle with her shoes, and some simp come by and just put the jacket down. Look, man, I'm just telling you, man, if it was raining outside and I had a Pele on or fur or something, or I ain't trying to say I'm not a gentleman, I'd rather pick up to put my coat down. So that's just a little joke to put in there because I butchered the word trying to cover it up, all right? So he spread his expensive cloak over a puddle for the queen has never been documented, but many historians believe him capable of such a gesture. Okay, so let me go down. All right, so it's an early supporter of colonialism, of colonializing North America. Sir Walter Raleigh sought to establish a colony, but the queen forbid him to leave her services between 1585 and 1588. He invested in a number of expeditions across the Atlantic, attempting to establish a colony near Roanoke on the coast, everything on the coast, on what is now North Carolina, and name it Virginia. And name it Virginia in the honor of the Virgin Queen. Now we touched on that before, but this right here gonna go something deeper with this individual himself. Delayed quarrels, disorganization, and hostile Indians forced some of the colonists to eventually return to England. However, they brought with them potatoes and tobacco, two things unknown in Europe at the time. A second voyage was sent in 1590. Now, he the first one to discover the tobacco. In 1590, only two. Now, hold up. Check this out. Now remember, all of them so-called. Let me see something. All right, so when you start seeing all of these Indian figures with tobacco, they kind of honoring them, and it's so many of them that you see. That's how you know, like, it's so many, man. It's so many. That's why they got Powhatan body in the Virginia Historical Society. That's why I tell you, I call them guys or whatever. You know the ones I always say that's Powhatan or whatever, right? I called the Virginia Historical Society, right? And the guy I spoke to, he told me I was an African American dressed up as an Indian, right? I laughed at him. I said, well, why would you do that? Well, who influence was that? So, okay, let's just say he said that. Well, we got more images of the same people. So we know he's lying. You understand what I'm saying? If I didn't see no more images of him, look, man, let me show y'all something. Y'all already know this, man. Y'all done seen these images, man. But let me show y'all something. I don't want to show you that image right there, but there's so many, man. It's ridiculous, man. After the shit I didn't see, man, I'm like, it's like, they cannot pull the wool over my eyes for nothing. So, like, all these little images like this, man. And you know what? Check this out. All of these flyers have Roanoke on it. Now look, check this out.
Anyway, you see this very clearly, right? I know everybody's like, what the hell? Okay. The Moors, right? The title of Mur, this is where the M-O-O-R comes from, right? Mur means the title of the highest priest, Anu. Huh? Huh? It also shows the Sumerian god Anu on a form of Ra. Now y'all been in here, my students, the people who follow me for real, be in these lives all the time. You know what this is where I'm going. Ra, right? We seen the ram wrapped around his arm, didn't we? Huh? Huh? Was worshipped in Tamari. Ta means land, Mary means the beloved, right? Kemet or Egypt. This is Kemet. They showing you that this is Kemet right here. First, therefore, the term Moor is the ancient Tamarian word Madunetcher. Mer. Remember, vowels were not used in Madunetcher. It is MR. Mer. You see? Somebody, I just broke the internet just with that one receipt, but I'm about to really blow your mind with this. Gang. Nah, this ain't no game. Nah, bro, watch, bro. Yo, bro, watch, bro. I love people like you. I love the no bros. I love y'all. That's what my late being eats. The no bros. Breakfast, dog, man. I'm hungry. Ain't no nah, bro. Ain't no nah. Who is Anu, though, man? Huh? Y'all know who Anu is? Huh? I'm about to make the whole connection. Because Anu, right? Before I do that, Tamarican, right? Tamarian, right? Tamari. Ancient Egypt was called Tamari by the Egyptians. They called themselves this. Look, they called themselves. This is what they call themselves. Tamari, Tamaru, Tamari, Tamer, Amr, Amari, America, American, Tamarican, Amarguan, Amaru, huh? Amari. Right here, right? Amaru.
See that? Same star. What that star represents is consciousness. That star represents basically the soul. Okay? It's an ancient symbol, and you can find it in many, many different Moorish civilizations all around the world. Okay? That star is representative of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The 5 principles of every Moorish American, and all throughout all Moorish civilization. The star's here, star here, star here. It's the star of consciousness, okay? That star is very, very important because it represents you knowing who you are, okay? Now, we're going to get into the book Saga America by Barry Fell, right? Saga America by Barry Fell, right? This is from page 226 of Saga America. Dr. Muhammad Jahari, who's on the left, points to the first Kufic inscription to be recognized in North America. The word Shams, in Arabic, sun, found with a red ochre representation of a sun disk, replicated to half scale from the find site in Texas. Discovered in 1935, it was originally reported as a black worm-shaped marking accompanying what appeared to be a sun disk. And its true nature was first noted by Fell at a lecture in the University of Maine, 1976. This first visit to Harvard by Dr. Jahari and Ali Kushaim, right, in 1977 led to closer collaboration between North African and American investigators, and thus to the discovery of numerous Kufic inscriptions in other parts of North America. So again, they try to say that the Carthaginians didn't make it to America, the Phoenicians didn't make it to America. But again, then to that, we have to ask some questions, right? If that's the case, this right here, let's focus on the urn for a second, right? Metal urn decorated with Phoenician themes in the upper part up here. You can even see the Nemes crown, right? Oh, why not open? Here we go. The Nemes crown. This is called the Nemes crown in Egypt, right? The Nemes crown right here, right? Okay. It depicts the goddess Astarte with the Egyptian-inspired ornament below, apparently African rain dancers. The style of mixed derivation recalls the work of Cypriot Phoenicians around 600 BC, when such objects were manufactured for distribution and sale. Okay, let's also look at that too, right? Nemes crown. Okay, Nemes crown. All right. Now, when such objects were manufactured for distribution and sale mainly to semi-civilized barbarians, that's a way to diss the Moors, but okay, by the traders of Carthage. This urn was discovered in an excavation carried out by the Middlebury Archaeological Research Center near the junction of the Susquehanna and Shenandoah rivers in New York. Phoenician inscriptions had earlier been recognized in the Susquehanna region by Philip Besleen and Dr. William W. Strong. Okay, so this urn right here was found in New York. It's found at the Susquehanna River in New York. But it's got Phoenician inscriptions all over it, and it's got an ancient Kemetic headdress on the joint. What does that tell you? They found it buried in America, but it got all that on it, huh? You can even see the snake, the Wajek snake up here, huh? You can see it up there. So what does that tell you? This was buried in America. Man. Okay. There's also the alabaster egg carrying the cartouche, the official name seal of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun, discovered in Idaho. What? What? So this egg, a carved egg, got Tutankhamun's name on it, and it was discovered in Idaho somewhere. Idaho. Come on, man. Come on, man. But we didn't trade with each other. There was no international trade, huh? That's what they try to say. That's what they try to say, but don't believe it, man. Don't believe it. The natives of the free natives of Dominica, you can see right here again, the turban and the fez. You can see the fez up top. He even took his like a naval hat or something like that off. He took that hat off to put this one on, because this is the one that says that he's free. He's wearing his fez right here. He's saying that he's free. Again, look at the colors, red, white, and blue, huh? Red, white, and blue. And the sisters, they got the hat on and the turban. Look at the turban, guys. Turban, red, white, and blue. Pink. Right? Because it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's just different ways that we were demonstrating ourselves at different times. That's all. But it's all ours. Look at the complexion of the people. Has it changed yet? From any of the stuff that I've shown you. Has the complexion of the people changed yet? Absolutely not. This is how you know we are the Canaanites. We are the Phoenicians. We are the Carthaginians. We are the Hittites and Amorites. Whenever you look up any of these people up and do the research on what it is, these are Moors. These are the original inhabitants of this country. Period. Like, it's clear. It is clear that that's what it is. So, I mean, I got even more. Give me one second. I might have to pause the video. I'll be back. So, I got another piece too. So, soon after the 1976 publication of America BC, which is another book by Barry Fell. Let's make this one. Oh, let me write down the brother's name too. Let's say author Barry Fell, right? Soon after the 1976 publication of America BC, in which inscriptions in ancient Mediterranean languages were reported from the eastern parts of North America, it was discovered that many supposed Indian petroglyphs of the western states are also ancient inscriptions. Above, a prayer for rain in the Punic language of Carthage at Massacre Lake, Nevada, originally reported by professional archaeologists in 1958. Though not then recognized as writing, the letters read from a right to left, QMTRIB, may the clouds spew forth rain. Okay? Below, a Punic dedication in the same script and language from Constantine, Algeria. Mutumbal, son of Aram, dedicated this tablet. So that's what it says on the second line, right? But it's the same inscription if you look. It's the same thing, same letters and everything. Okay? Same way it's written and everything. So again, proving that the ancient Carthaginians, Phoenicians, Canaanites were in America. Okay? And that we are descendants of those people. Because those are the customs and traditions that we had. Like I said before, and just to loop it back in since we're on Saga America, again, from the sun, the Kufic inscription for the sun, right? The sun disk, okay? That is just the same thing. Also, let me... Okay. So you can see the sun disk here and the sun disk here. You can see the Nemes crown here and the Nemes crown here. Okay? Proving that there was at least some contact between one side of our family on one side of the world and another side of the family on the other side of the world. They try to make it as if we never knew each other, we were all divided, it was all different kingdoms and dynasties that had nothing to do with each other, when I'm telling you and showing you that this and this were both found in America. And again, if you want to get that book, you can get the book. It was by a guy named Barry Fell. And the name of the book is Saga America.
Peace and love to all the Moors. Now, according to the United States Case 191 in 1848, it says verbatim that the United States does not own the land of the ancient mound builders of North America much more than 1 million square miles of land. The Moors are the title holders of the geographical landmass of America. Huh? And the titles are L's, Bays, Days, and Ollies, which is basically an amalgamation of the title holders of the geographical landmass of America, which is the Choctaw, the Wichita, the Cherokee, the Seminole, and the Yamasee. Now, the Statue of Liberty is basically an emulation of the ancient headdress of a Moorish woman, which is the real Statue of Liberty. These are the original names of America. Al-Maghreb al-Aqsa, Al-Morocco, Northwest Africa Exum, Southwest Africa Exum. Now, this is the original Great Seal of the United States of America. The Great Seal of the continental United States Moorish nations represents the de jure sovereign authority of the primitive and aboriginal Moors emanating birthrights and inheritance. Now, this is why it's very imperative to understand that unification is the precursor to a sovereign nation. You are not from Africa. How can you be from a place that you can't be deported back to? And a lot of you go to HBCUs. How you go to Morehouse and you don't even know you're a goddamn Moor? With that being said, claim your nationality. You are not Black, African American, Negro, or color. You are Moors. Thanks for watching.
See, I was minding my own business, pushing this Aboriginal stuff, but you people got stuck in Indian land. You put a box on people's head in your head, just like a fez. But still, more house, not Indian house, not mound building house. Mount Rushmore, not Mount Rush Indian, not Mount Rush Indigenous. Come on, stop playing. Y'all done woke up a sleeping giant.
Indians in Indiana. Okay, so now I'm saying to you that this circle is black, and this circle is all over United States, Mexico, South America, it's everywhere. And the circle is black. Now, there was a group in that circle, let's call them tribes, that were Moors. Now, anyone can be a Moor, but you have to pass the principles of being a Moor. And the principles I gave to you last week, and I'll give it to you now, the principles of being a Moor. Now, anyone in that circle can be a Moor, but you got to live by your principles. And the principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If you marinate on that just in the thought process, you will see that those 5 principles is enough for you to identify an individual that has a pure heart. Now, all during this period of time, coming forward out of the 1400s, those blacks were doing anything they wanted to do, up to and including rape, murder, looting, and slavery. They all dealt in slavery because once the European came on the scene, the European was a huge commodity in slavery because of the white women. And they would take the men to do heavy work, and they had their harems set up with them white women. I did research on the book that I told you about. It's called The Five. No. Here it is. It's called The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War. And I was shocked when I read. Now the book jumped from $50 to $70 to $1,000, Bev, from 2006. A seer mentioned it. Dukes of Tears, Tears of Dukes,
Right.
whatever it is. And he mentioned it and gave information on it, and the book began to the price began to skyrocket.
Okay.
So I went looking for it, and that's when I found out Amazon got it for $1,000, paperback or hardback. But I did some underground research, and I discovered what the book was about, and I see why they ran it up to $1,000. And if another flux of people start looking for that book, I know they may not be able to pay $1,000, but they'll run that thing up to $5,000 to keep you away from that book.
Right.
Here's what it says. There are Civil War books, and then there are Civil War books. Among the many books about the Civil War on the market today, only one addresses a little-known reason why that great conflict was fought. International Book Reviewer Danny Yee, Y-E-E, has stated, one of the things that has always puzzled me about the history of the United States is how a civil war could be fought and won to end slavery, but full civil rights not be given or granted to blacks until a century later. Now think about that. Blacks did not get the full blunt of freedom until Martin Luther King signed that package in 1963, 64, somewhere back in there. But yet the war was fought back in 1860, and they said it was fought to free the slaves. Now, I fought the fact that it could not free the slaves because slaves owned land and plantations, all from 1812. You read it all the time, 1812 all the way up to 1900, and even today, blacks own land in the South that has a register of deeds recording back antebellum, before the Civil War. So you'd have to ask yourself, how is that possible, Bev? Now, the reason that it's possible, and the reason that the cause of the war was the European was the slaves. It wasn't blacks. It was the European. When they talk to you in those history books about 1/4 black, you can't come in this place, it's for whites only. All of that, you have to look at it in reverse, and you'll get a true understanding of the history. They use an example of a lady that had, here she is. One good example is a case that this guy reports in which a slave woman who had 1/64 black was put on the market to sell. Now, if she had 1/64, that was great-great-great-great-grandparents were black. So you know she looked and could pass for white. How they found out that 1/64% of her was black, I'll never know. Not all slaves in the South were black. And this phenomena of white slaves, whites with a distant black ancestor, was to have unexpected political consequences. They passed a law called the Fugitive Act. And that Fugitive Act was passed in 1850. Listen to the dates. And the Fugitive Act stated that any runaway slave could be reclaimed without due process of law. So now, if you were a slave master, a slave owner, and you had a couple of Europeans and blackies that escaped. When you came north looking for them and there's no due process, all you had to do was make up some phony papers and bust the first blackie or whitey you saw and drag them back down south and put them on the plantation. You get it?
Yeah.
Yep. Now, this came so blatant and so open during the Civil War, they had to do something to stop it. So what they did, in the war, they fought not to have whites in slavery. The Civil War was fought to free whites from slavery. All of these laws that were in place to capture the whites, they took off the books, which left the black still not a citizen of the United States of America, because it was only founded in 1871. They lead you to believe that it was founded way back with George Washington and all them bums back in 1700. But that's not the fact. United States of America, Inc., the corporation that we're living in today, was founded in 1871. So they knew in 1865, 1850, when they were snatching slaves, white slaves, and they wanted to stop it because they needed more whites because the blacks outnumber the whites by a tremendous amount. So they passed laws to stop it, and they did it through a war, the Civil War. And the blacks were nowhere in the mix to be free. So they immediately set up Jim Crow, black codes, and all types of legislation from the cities that put into law that you could kill, shoot, murder, rape, put a black in, do anything to a blackie. And from that period of 1865 that they call so-called Reconstruction, that's what they did. So they changed all the laws, changed the books so that we wouldn't understand it, made us go to school to teach us history in reverse. And then it extended, the lynchings extended from 1865 all the way up to 1930, 1940. They were still lynching us in 1940.
Literature and Archaeology, Volume 3, Number 2. This is written by Daniel G. Brinton, who actually wrote the Annals of the Caciques as well. Alright, so in this book, we have this part here talking about the Ek Ahau, the black captain. So let's hear what it says. It says, the paintings correspond precisely with what Núñez de la Vega tells us of the Central divinity Ikal Ahau, Maya, Ek Ahau, names which he translates the black chief. Again, the black chief, or the king of the blacks. The king of the blacks. Alright, so-called Negro. He was reported to have been a famous warrior and most cruel. He was depicted in the figure of a ferocious blackamoor with the members of a man. Again, blackamoor. Alright, so that's how they referred a lot of these Spanish and English people to the Native Americans, because they were seeing them as so-called Negroes, just like the ones they saw in Europe and North Africa.
Right here. We right here. All right. So look, let me zoom out. Let me just make sure you guys know where we at. Once again, right? We're in Barbary, right? We're in Barbary. See the Mediterranean right here, right? See all this, right? Boom. Barbary right here, right? And I'm not saying, because some of these maps are deceiving too, right? But for the most part, we can cross-reference a lot of this information and see that a lot of these places that's over there was over here, right? All right, so let me blow it back up. I'm gonna blow it back up. And I'm looking for something particular. I'm looking for this right here, right? Look. Let me open it back up real quick. Grenada, right? Look. Y'all see, do everybody see Grenada up here? Granada. Everybody see this, right? I want some participation. Everybody see Grenada right here, right? We see Grenada right here, right? Let me click back. Let me just make sure we get, hold on. Let me go back to more. So everybody see that, right? Everybody see Grenada is in Africa, right? Just press 1, man, if y'all fucking with this. All right, okay, so we clear on that, right? Now look at this. Look, we're clear. This is America, right? This is America, right? We're clear on this, right? And also right here by California, this is the Red Sea. They telling you the Red Sea was in Egypt, right? This the Red Sea right there in the corner right there. Let me see if I can open it up. You can't see it on this one, but I had another map that shows that this right here where California is at was once a sea, right? This is called the Red Sea, right? But what do we see on top right here? Do we see Grenada right here? Do we see Grenada right here, right? We do see Grenada right here, right? Is that not Grenada? So ain't Grenada supposed to be? And even when they look, check this out too, right? Just touching on this, right? Just for the sake of what we talking about, right? Let me see something. Hold up. Just for the sake of what we talking about, right? When you see the map of Montezuma, not Montezuma, Mansa Musa, they show you Grenada on it, right? They show you the map of Grenada when you look at the so-called image of Mansa Musa, right? But Grenada's right in this area right here. And even in that area right there, you can find multiple different artifacts that's basically with Montezuma name on it, like Montezuma Castle and all that stuff is up in that same region right there, right? And that's some of the reasons what led me to think that Montezuma was Mansa Musa, right? But anywho, right, we see Grenada right here in America, right? Now, one would say if I was to ask you where Grenada was at, you would go back to here. You would go back to what you know, what you always know it, where you know it to be at, right? Let's see. Yeah, I think it was this. No, it's this one. You would think Grenada was right here, right? In Africa, right? Now look where Grenada's at. Grenada's actually where Spain is at. This is supposed, all this shit right here will be Spain, right? And this part right here will be what we call Morocco, right? Down in this area, right? So once again, I'm gonna go back over what I did in the first bill just to clarify some things before I move forward to the next bill, right? So we got Maracas, right? We got Maracas right here, right? So let's go back to the pictures or the images. Let me see something. Just give me a second, people. Let me get back. Oh, it's down. Hold up. Hold up, man. Go down. Hold up. I think it's this one. Let me see. All right, boom. Here we go. It's this one. So look. Once again, right? Where are we at? We're in Florida once again, right? We're in Florida, right? And what do we got on the map right here? Let's see. Hold up. Is this not Morocco? Is this not it? And it's spelled the same fucking way, right? Hiding right here in Florida, right? Hiding right here, right? So, let's see, hold up. Here go another map of Florida, right? Showing and proving again, right? Another map of Florida, right? What the fuck? Oh, Morocco right here, look. Boom. Boom. Right here. Right here, right? So let's clarify that again. Oh, we don't need to clarify here. Same fucking spelling, bro. We can sit here and play games and sit here, and they spelling it multiple different ways. This ain't the way that Morocco spelled today, is it? Is this the way Morocco spelled today? No, it's not, right? So let's go to something else. I got some more research showing.
Now, this book is called Delaware, A Guide to the First State by the Federal Writers Project, and they're referring to the Nanticoke Indians in this Indian school. Watch this. It says, the social lines these people draw among themselves often baffle their white neighbors and the state authorities alike. Though the Delaware school system is officially divided into white and Negro schools, there are 4 separate kinds in this region. Within a few miles of one another, there are white schools, Negro schools, and a school listed as a Moor school and the Nanticoke Indian School. Children attending the latter are apparently no different in color or otherwise from their cousins outside the Nanticoke Indian Association. You see that? They was calling the Moors cousins to the Nanticoke Indians, and they said they are the same color. That's why they had that term applied to them, as we just read in the first book. That's why I want y'all to keep in mind, always understand, Moor is not a race. It is not a race. It is not a race. It's none of that. Moor is just a title. That's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now this book is called The Image of the Black in Western Art by David Beinman. It says the Matrix is both the rising Dietrich and the explanation of the Moorish chieftain, for it had been presented to the ancestor of Augustus II by Emperor Rudolph II in 1581, and it was described in early inventory as Os dem Occidentalicem Indian, from the Western Indies. Having been sent to Emperor Charles V from Colombia, the matrix embodied the riches of the New World, so its princely bearer is meant to represent a Native American. You see that? And what they're referring to is this Moorish Indian. It's holding this thing they called a matrix. And that's what they're referring to. They said this is meant to represent a Native American. And it's a picture that's been famously posted around everywhere. It says, moreover, many of the details, the tattooing of the body, the crown, and the medallions were copied from the illustrations to an account of the Indian tribes in Florida published by Theodore de Bry in his Historia Americae 1590 to 1596. De Bry's volumes on American Indians were an influential source for images of the inhabitants of the New World, but the point of departure for Permoser's construction of the figure remained the standard type of a Moor found in the contemporary European art, with the localization details added. It says the American Moor represents a form of noble savage offering up riches in a prelapsarian world, and there is a possible attempt at humor in the figure's utter lack of any sense of the preciousness of what he wears or carries. It says, rather than adornment to clothing, the gold and jewels are clothing. He is not a tamed court savage like the turban figure at the great mogul's court, but like the matrix itself, unredeemed from a primordial state. Permoser's American Indian may be compared with a pair of small-scale ebony Moors with similar gold and silver body ornaments carrying platters of seed pearls. You see that? And those seed pearls they talking about is they call it a matrix. So that's what it's talking about. It's the same thing. So Moors and Indians were used interchangeably.
Once again, we got to go back here again, right? Got to constantly keep doing this shit, right? Now they're gonna say, look, North African Berber, one dwelling in Barbary, right? Okay, it's saying a habitant of Mauritania, right? It's saying now a region corresponding with North Algeria and Morocco, right? But in all of the maps of Barbary, we did not see no Mauritania. There is no Mauritania over there. There is no Mauritania over there, right? In fact, we actually got accounts of people saying Mauritania is over here, right? So hold up, let's go to that. Because it's like, at some point in time, we don't know everything. And like I said, I don't know everything. I'm showing you research that I just cross-referenced that I was able to put back together, okay? Whether I'm right or I'm wrong, I'm showing you and cross-referencing, and I'm showing you the information of what's going on. All right, so here, boom. Matter of fact, hold up. It's another article. This is from the Ancient Britons, right? And once again, right here, right? The Englishmen, and you got to kind of duck some of the hijacks because a lot of these accounts and the causes is not being said by exactly who they saying doing it, but you have to be, you definitely have to have some discernment when you research and you read and stuff. If you keep seeing things pop up, you have to be curious, and you can't be ignorant and say, this person obviously, okay, I know everything. I know that the Moors are from North Africa, Mauritania, and Morocco, right? But this individual right here is saying something different. Is it worth checking out? If you're going to speak on it, and you're going to act like you know about it, is it worth checking out? Should I be open-minded about the research that's coming out? Okay, look, the Englishmen who has colonized the western shores of the Atlantic, right? No more than a generation or two before the Gulf spoke of the Indians there as being as black as gypsies, right? Being as black as gypsies, right? In 1676, kind of duck the date lines or the dates because some of these dates are not consistent with the calendar that we have prior to the Gregorian calendar, right? You all also got to always be mindful of that, right? But in 1676, the native races of New England were spoken of indifferently as indifferently. They're not saying different. They're not saying was spoken differently as Indians and what? What are they saying? And Moors, right? So do somebody need to go and check what the word indifferently of? Indifferently is the opposite of different, meaning it's pretty much the fucking same, or it's consistent, or it's the same fucking thing, right? Okay. And it's saying, and our British so-called Indians are also remembered as being Moors, right? But up here, once again, we seeing Indians classified as being called Moors, right? And it's because of this right here, right? It's because of this, right? All this other shit right here, Mauritania and Morocco and North Africa, all that shit right there is just some shit that they recreated, right? Because even when you go here, right? Mauritania, right? Check this out. And you know, for people who rock with me, this ain't the first time you done heard this shit right here, right? I showed this last night on AP channel, but I'm just actually adding a little bit more since people want to always go back and forth with me like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not telling nobody anymore. So look, what it say? Mortals, right? It's saying mortals. It's saying from Latin Mori, inhabitants of Mauritania. Mauritania is over there in Africa, right? Just like Morocco is over there too in Africa, right? So Roman Northwest Africa, a region now corresponding to northern Algeria and Morocco, right? It's saying from Greek, Moro. We know this ain't Greek though. This is just another hijack of them saying that the Greeks are the people who created the Moro. When the Greeks are the Minoans, the Greeks was also Negroes. So why would they describe other Negroes as being black? This is how you know that there's a lot more to this story than we're being told. And all I'm trying to do for the individuals who do care or are who is interested in this information, make sure you get yourself, at least do your due diligence as best as you can or whatever, if this is something that's important to you. And like I said, if you're over here with me, you already know what I do. So once again, right? If the term more, right? Look, because even when you go up here, right? Even when it goes into the Greek saying morals, right? Now it's saying perhaps a native name, right? Saying perhaps a native name. When they saying native in this case, they saying perhaps it's an ancient name. It's an ancient name, right? It's an ancient name, right? Well, look, even when you get right here, if the Moors are the people from North Africa and Barbar, the race dwelling in Barbary, or the inhabitant of Mauritania or Algeria or Morocco, right? Why the fuck would they go here, right? Why would they denote to this? Or else cognate with morals, right? Black, right? Ain't black a fucking description? Ain't black a description, right? So even the term more used in this sense is still a fucking descriptive term. And it's just a code word for these people are the original people who were so-called melanated, copper color, brownish, dark brownish, whatever. Even when it's saying right here, it's still giving you a descriptive term. Still giving you a descriptive term. Why would we go through all this and then it would say cognate with moral quotation black? Why? And then when you get down here, right? Because it's being applied to everybody who was black, no matter what so-called nation or empire you was part of, right? Now, when it get right here, also applied, right, to the Arabic conquerors of Spain, right? Ain't no Arabics never conquered Spain. The original people who was in that region practiced Islamism, which Islamism is not the orthodox or the Islamism that you know now, where people praying to Prophet Muhammad and all of this other stuff, and the Kabbalah, all that shit. Nobody's dealing with that information. This is, like I said, this is an ancient culture that you find in the Americas, obviously from the video we just seen with Opalaka showing you these so-called structures, the same goddamn structures you could see in the goddamn Middle East. That building in Opalaka looked like something in Saudi Arabia. But you know what? The first thing come to mind, oh, somebody came here and took over your land. And book says Montezuma was a Mersh king.
That's Montezuma. Okay. Let me show you this book. This book is Standard or Headdress, a historical essay on a relic of ancient Mexico. You can Google this, download it. Right up here, you see Harvard, Mirador Viewer. You know, that's where you can get a Harvard Library. right? Harvard Law. Harvard Law. We're dealing with the law. We're dealing with the law, right? Let's run through this real fast. Let's pick up right here at the top where it says the founder of the collection by the imperial commissioners appointed to revise his will on folio 472 of this ancient document. It is cataloged with other objects in feather work contained in a chest number 9 and is described as a Moorish hat of beautiful, long, lustrous, green, and gold hued feathers, bed decked above with white, red, and blue feathers and gold rosettes and ornaments. In front, on the forehead, it has a beak of pure gold. The term Moorish, as here applied, can scarcely be regarded as a deceptive one, inasmuch as Montezuma, the king of Tenochtitlan in Mexico, is subsequently designated as a Moorish king in the same inventory of 1596. This right here is Montezuma. That's the brother, Montezuma. It is interesting to note that the gradual changes that occur in the wording of the subsequent periodical official registration of this Moorish hat. In 1613, its description was faithfully reproduced. In 1621, the word Indian was substituted for Moorish. With this single alteration, the original text was again transcribed in 1730. So the word Indian was substituted for Moorish. So brothers, everybody's talking about they Indians around here, you're really a Moor. It's right here in the book. This is just confirmation, right? So here's Montezuma, okay? That's a Moor. They say Montezuma is a Moorish king. We don't know Moorish. Montezuma is humble dictionary. Black or Moor, noun, a Negro or black person. So Montezuma's a Moor, right? I can't believe y'all don't want. Nobody wants to be a Moor. Everybody hates on us. Everybody hates on us. But right here it says Indian was substituted for Moor. Right here it says black or Moor is a Negro or black person. So wouldn't that mean the people that are calling themselves blacks are actually Indians, but are really Moors?
At this document right here, this is from the Peabody Museum out of Harvard University, some of their research that they was doing, and they discovered that Montezuma was actually a Moorish American, and the term Indian was used to replace the term Moorish in 1623. So guess what, guys? We're not going to argue with nobody about we Indian or we Native or we Indigenous. We have a nationality, people, and it's called the Moorish American. A lot of people will argue and try to come on my post and dispute things, but this is history I'm showing you right here in front of your face. So don't get mad at me because I rock these feathers and they look good on me, boo. Because this is what we're supposed to do. We have a national headdress, guys. Put it on. Nationalize so nobody mistakes you for black. Black isn't even real.
Come with me to see Montezuma's headdress in Vienna, Austria.
All right, let's see it. Kidding, Dan, don't come after me, okay? Believe it or not, there's no actual proof that this was ever Montezuma's headdress. So how did this rumor start? At some point in time, this headdress right here was acquired by this man, Archduke Ferdinand II of Tyrol, and in 1596, we have the first mention of the headdress in the Ambrose Castle inventory in Austria. At some point in time, this guy passed away, and the headdress collected dust, along with other artifacts in China and even Indonesia. Important to note that when it was listed in the inventory, it was listed as one, a Moorish hat, and a second time as an Indian apron.
Important to note that when it was listed in the inventory, it was listed as one, a Moorish hat, and a second time as an Indian apron. It was listed as one, a Moorish hat. It was listed as one, a Moorish hat. It was listed as one, a Moorish hat.
I told y'all was gonna wake up a sleeping giant. I'm a master student, looking for more master students. I was forced to be a teacher, because people out there ain't listening, spreading misinformation. Half of y'all just came out of Pan-Africanism, just came out of Christianity. Some of y'all still stuck in Hebrewism. Y'all need to be quiet, sit down, don't even raise your hand, just listen. Too many of y'all want to raise your hand and talk and want to be teachers. You don't know it all. Sit down. Dude said Montezuma was Spanish. Ain't no Spanish coming over here building no castles, man. No fortress, man. Come on, man. Stop playing with the people. I told y'all, stop living in the box. Stop. Get out the box. Get out the circle. It's over.
And here's something else that was in there. This is a letter from NASA, or someone in NASA writing to someone else in NASA, surrounding the space missions, okay, or the fake space missions, as I like to say. And they sent a peacock feather from one to the other, from one man to the other, and they said, "Best regards to Bill Taub, I don't know, my favorite photographer of space peacocks." Now, what the hell does that mean? Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, not only is this housed in in a Moorish castle, this is peacock in one of the definitions means, Moor in one of the definitions means peacock. Believe it or not. Right here, I think I got it. In Hindi, the word Moor, right here, the word Moor in Hindi means peacock, the national bird of India. Wow. And so Moor means peacock. Guys, add that to the list, because you see a lot of these Moors having the or the fez, the plumage coming out of the top. That's another connection there.
Then I just seen the other one, Mur is Moor as well. I didn't even put that one together.
Right.
Islam, brother Yusuf.
Islam.
I know you're loaded.
Yeah, I just hope I'm not repeating, because I had a phone call. It was like 30 seconds. I don't know if somebody said it, but the peacock. It just, when I saw the picture, it reminded me of the Montezuma's headdress. Was that mentioned?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that being Montezuma's headdress, but Montezuma's headdress being in what was it? It was cataloged as a Moorish head, like they called Montezuma the Moorish king, and it was known as Moorish headdress. But that's exactly what that peacock or Moor reminded me of.
Yeah. Now Montezuma, when Montezuma was in trouble, who did he call for help? The Muskogee. The Muskogee got the message. He must have sent a raven or a parrot or a pigeon or something. And the Muskogee got their men in arms and made a hundreds and hundreds of mile journey over to Mexico to reinforce Montezuma. By the time they got there, it was too late. Montezuma had been toppled. But that's why the Muskogee...
You know what that sounds like? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No worries. What?
But throughout history, they teach when the Moors fell, when we were looking for help, we called out the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire wouldn't help, or they wouldn't show up. But that's what that reminded me of, that part, what you just said right there.
Can I drill that home?
Yep.
Can I drill that home?
Yep.
Guess what language group Montezuma was speaking? The Ottomangian language.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Yo. Come on. See that? You saw that, Green Sheet? You saw that? Yo, come on, man. You can't make that up. See how you pay that attention? You see how you got it? Yo, they tell. Well, this is what my friend used to tell me. Even when they lie, they tell the truth. Even when they lie, they tell the truth. So I'm glad you I'm glad you said that. That makes it clears that up. It clears that right up. Yeah,
just to back up what I'm saying, the Muskogee flag is almost perfectly Ottoman symbolism, Ottoman iconography. Now, it's no coincidence that in Mexico, the group of languages being spoken by some of these royal peoples was the Ottomangian, meaning Otto-man. Ottoman is in Eurasia. Ottomangian is in Mesoamerica. So, well,
that's them. That gives me goosebumps to see that. Like, okay, so he did send the message out. They did come, but it was too late. But the way they tell the story, the Ottoman Empire, they didn't want to come help them. But it's okay. Thank you. Because I always wanted to know that question for years. I'm talking about 7-8 years. I've asked this question, and you come and you tie that right together, and that's like perfect for me right there.
Yeah, man, I love that one, and that's what if you go look at all the different subgroups of that language, there's all these different names like China Tech. Okay, that's one of the subgroups of that language, China Tech, and that's where you get your Chino in Mexico, right? Your Chinese Mexicans, etc. But I'll keep going on with that little slideshow I had.
1492, again, which is the day you know well, the expulsion of the Moors. They were Moors and Jews. Why were the Moors and Jews kicked out? Because of the same people. Hebrew is Arabic. It's just a small dialect. And these people were banished and murdered. Within 5 years of this, before, you had the Talmud being printed in Venice and the Sharia papers. So the corruption of the Quran and the corruption of the Torah all happened within a few years of the expulsion of the Moors. And Columbus, which you've talked about, even if he wasn't a real person, he was just a hitman coming to continue the slaughter that had happened there, the wiping out of these people, because they didn't come here, which is the narrative, and they're like, 200 people came here and started Alabama, No,
Hell no.
there were millions of people here.
Exactly.
I mean, I have stone cities from Alaska to Florida, all over America. Amazing, crazy, gigantic. And you talked about the Gulf Stream, why it's so important. Helsinki, I have another island which I sent you in the middle of the Baltic, which is completely identical to Florida. It's made out of shells. It's limestone, man-made island. That one I had sent you about that place.
That's what they say is the South Baltic is kind of the only region that mirrors Florida ecology.
Exactly. And why is that? The Gulf Stream. And I have another article, which I don't think we're going to have time, but a miner gets lost in the Rocky Mountains and finds his way into a cavern that he can't get out of. And it's the craziest story ever. Giants 20 feet tall, thousands and thousands of pounds of gold and silver, eternal flames, basically torches on the wall that are run on natural gas that have been burning for an eternity.
Right, it's almost the exact same. And the Battle of Troy, where the Greeks crossed the Mediterranean.
Yeah, Troy was here. That was nonsense.
Exactly.
For sure.
But yeah,
this is like the Civil War. The Civil War was the South. And the South, you have the Union and the Confederates. Well, the Confederacy was the Moorish Confederacy. That was what it was called. And it was all the states south of the Carolinas.
And Morocco being the first country to ratify, certify.
Yeah, the treaty that we have with them, and George Washington groveling. Yeah, you study the old treaty papers. I mean, the Moors of today, who are seeking their own government, essentially, are using a lot of what was ratified, or at least put into form in treaty. And that's part of what's covered up, the falsification of the Civil War, the Louisiana Purchase. It's all the same thing. Napoleon didn't exist. He's not a real person.
Right. Napoleon, you could talk for days about him, but I wanted to get into that about Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Because Theodore Roosevelt allegedly left from Florida, from Tampa Bay, in the Tampa Bay Hotel, which was the staging ground for the Spanish-American War, which kind of put the lid on all of South American Old World history. The Spanish-American War solidified the transfer of power to the inheritors for good. Theodore, well, what were you just telling us? Analog that Teo, or Tio, is the Mexican word for God. So you have God coming over with his rough riders, right? Like this cavalry, and they just apparently took over Cuba. They secured Cuba. They secured. I think they got the Philippines.
Which is that we could go all day.
By concession, they just were awarded the Philippines. It makes no sense unless it was a dual hemisphere conflict going on that we're only given half of the story, if not an eighth of the story, 100th of the story.
Exactly. Well, and you could take it to the mercantile level too, because if you study the first supposed corporation, right, the East and West India companies, they basically came in from all sides: Alaska, California, Canada, and squashed the Moors. It was just a full-on carpet bombing, essentially, raid of America to stomp them out and rewrite the history, right? Like, the story of Columbus is a dead giveaway. He was bringing Islamic, Hebraic translators because the Moors were all Islamic, Hebraic people. Yeah.
Interesting.
Stomping it all out, and that's where it started. 1492, like I was mentioning, you can study the religions, and if you look into the Talmud and you look into the Sharia papers, the corruptions of both of those religions, and look at what they've turned it into. They've literally inverted them. And when you study enough Starfort, Tartaria stuff, you see a synagogue and a mosque and a church on the same street in the Starfort. Does that make any sense? And the narrative that we were all warring with each other. Genghis Khan was rolling across Mongolia with 100,000 warriors. It's like, that's complete bullshit. And you can poke a hole in the house by thinking, how feeding the people that blows it out of the water, it's impossible. Enough water also blows it out of the water. I mean, these narratives about everyone was at war is completely nonsense. And when you just study the geology and the star forts and the buildings, you couldn't have a group of people like that. There's just way too much to it. And then on that, you add the
term Wachita is a corruption of Yushita, the father and mother of the mystics. In Egypt, Yushita is Ushayet. Y'all gotta forgive me. The winged sun disk, which symbolizes the highest knowledge, and pineal gland being open. We're talking about that pineal gland right up there. I'm going to do a little, I ain't that heavy, but I'm going to try to do some research on that pineal gland. That's where that third eye is. And if they can keep that closed, they got you. They got you. See, when they raid them pyramids and go into those artifacts that are all over the earth, they get the signs and they sit down and figure out as much as they can. And what they don't know, they put them in another area. But what they learned, they know that we are on cycles. It's a 25,000 year cycle that we blacks, Ouachita Moors, Olmecs, Dogons, we're on a cycle. We live in a cycle. There's 12 departments in this cycle, just like the zodiac signs. And each one is, 2160. You multiply that by 12, I think you get 26.9, something like that. It all comes out. The Dogons did that. Europeans said, hell with that. We ain't going back over there. We don't want to talk about the great year. Because we can't understand it. We didn't do it. We don't know nothing about it. Leave it alone. It takes 25,000, around it off, 26,000 years to make the cycle. We have made it 13 times. I don't know where that comes from. I have no idea. But we're always here. We're the Alpha and Omega. That's what that means. Melchizedek, Alpha and Omega. We don't have a beginning and we don't have an ending. We're in a cycle. Boom, boom. Each one of the cycles each cycle has 12 departments named after zodiac signs. Europeans only lived in 3. Aries, Pisces, and now he's in age of Aquarius. He's in Aquarius. Elijah Muhammad said, when you start studying self, you're going to get so good at finding out who you are, you're going to have to tie a string around your little finger to remind you that the European is here somewhere. Well, he cannot be in your zone and wake up to your true God, where you're supposed to be. And that's what it's all about, waking up to your true God, your true ancestors, your mother and your father. That's your gods. And every time you swear into this bullshit on earth, I don't give a damn what it is, Girl Scout, Boy Scout, Fag Scout, it don't matter. You're offending your ancestors. You offend your ancestors. And all of this is set up to get you back on the right track. Now, Amuuru is actually a corruption of Amuuru, which is the root word for America. America. America is actually a corruption of Amanraka. 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 I had to roll it out. AMEN-RA-KA. Amanraka. America. Strange how everything comes from Egypt. Well, Egypt was once the capital of the world. In fact, the Pharaoh gave the ancient Moabites, which were Moors, permission to settle Morocco, which is now in North Africa since 1956. The Moabites migrated to modern-day America, called her El Morocco. El Morocco, which is another root for the word America. El Morocco. Now, get angry at me when I tell you. I study and read this. And I do it so I can understand what they gave me don't make sense. I'm not sure if this what I'm reading is totally correct. But it sounds better than that SHIT they put in books when they had me in school. I guarantee you that. This puts me closer to my true God. We're the only people on earth that worship something that we call deity that don't look like us. We should be shot at sundown. Now, you don't think that angers your ancestors? And then you have nerve to say it don't matter what color they are. When the language, the culture, the direction, and the brainwash is all European. No, it wouldn't matter the color, because you're just as ignorant if he was blue. Because you don't know shit, and you always tell me, if you needed to know shit, your Jesus would have told you. Why would he tell you? To wake you up. Why would he tell you? Some of the poorest countries in the world are Christian nations. Mexico to start with. And they can work with poor people because they tell them that in order to get to their God, they got to go through our God. Who ever heard of such madness? That's why I talk about it so bad. I'm not going through their God to go nowhere where I'm supposed to be. The last of the El Moroccan government fell in 1956 when the abolishment of the consular court, when black people accepted civil rights over their natural rights as natural persons. God almighty no. Here is the definition of consular court. Let me read that again, y'all. The last of the El Moroccan government fell in 1956 with the abolishment of the El Consular Court, when black people accepted. Now we talk about Martin Luther King. When black people accepted civil rights over their natural rights as natural persons. Here is a definition of consular court. Consular court. A tribunal convened by public officials who reside in a foreign country to protect the interests of their country for the settlement of civil cases based upon situations that happen in foreign nations, and which is held to authority granted by a treaty. The 1787 Morocco Treaty of Peace and Friendship was the treaty. As long as we were under that, before they destroyed it by sending it to Morocco. Now this sounds like Morocco was sitting over there, but they sent the flag which represented the court over there and gave them an establishment of their government.
And we got this advertising, Dutch. We know Dutch used the word more, M-O-R, day more. And we can see that most likely is a Native American. Look like some land, some street. New Amsterdam. Now let's see what the description of this say from a certain website. So you know, I think Pipe Museum. Who knows? Could be another website, but let's see somebody else's opinion on the matter. Alright, from the Amsterdam Pipe Museum, manifested by J.M. Van Os and Son, dated 1780-1860. A seated Moor or Native Indian Native American, so they confused too. But the record books listed them as Moors. And the worldwide record books. You want to take this Indian Native American and take away his inheritances around the world, and you call him a Native American. There's a story that comes with that. So how you want to connect it properly, then that's where history you go into. Was extended steam pipe like at the mid-Atlantic region of North America, possibly Lenape, Lenape Hawking. So that's a Lenape. Yeah, Lenape. New York was originally colonially called New Amsterdam. New Amsterdam was renamed New York on September 8, 1864 in honor of the then Duke of York, later James II of England. And these people, James II, they family with these people too now, so it kind of discombobulated. Day more meaning day more. You see? L-B-R-E-D or the more. And you got blacks in the Dutch world. You see how they associate black with this and with they smoking more. The word more, the native, and the word black, right? Ain't that what's going on today? Okay.
We really got people out here hating that bad on the Moors and not having a full understanding of what's going on. You got people out here remixing what George Washington said. George Washington said, if we would agree to take the fezzes and turbans off the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet, and enforce severe punishment, and to also swear a death oath between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not to allow anyone to teach the Moorish children. It didn't say Indians. It didn't say native. It didn't say indigenous. It said Moorish. But you got people out here remixing what George Washington said. And that's being disingenuous of the truth and the true history of what's going on in America, or the Amuuru. Here we go. An ancient Teotihuacan from Peru, dated back in the BC time, with a fez on his head. What you gonna say now? Red, just like the cherry tree. A fez on his head. Clearly you can see that we have fezzes and turbans in America. From Peru to Mexico. George Washington didn't chop down the feather tree. He didn't chop down the fringes tree. He chopped down the cherry tree, the Moorish Empire tree, the flag of the Moors.
Lima, Peru, Larco Museo, the Larco Museum in Lima, as you can see, the ancient culture. They wore fez in South America. We're going to deal with North America in this one, but just going to make a point. We don't need to read everything, but we make this point. All right, such affidavits, or even they're talking about affidavits like affidavit of truth claiming your nationality or your status upon the land or inside whatever municipality or state you claim to be in. So such affidavits were even more crucial for members of Charleston Free Black elite. Those were property and social standings. Those with property and social standing had to secure their free status in order to protect their family's asset and right of inheritance. Such concerns prompt Martha Inglis to file a statement attesting to the freedom of herself and her sister, Catherine and Elizabeth. The wife of prominent free black hairdresser Thomas Inglis, Martha had two daughters, Claudia and Mary. As life for South Carolina free blacks became more precarious in the 1820s, Martha took steps to secure her children's freedom. In 1824, planter Henry Rutledge signed, and Henry Rutledge been like one of the mayors or some shit at this time, governor Henry Rutledge, signed an official declaration claiming that Martha and her sister were grandchildren of Lucy, a subject of the Emperor of Morocco. See, that's ambiguous, so they're using that based off the agreements. Who came to the colonies in 1775? So they dealing with the treaty, dealing with before the treaty, this 1775, and they claiming the Emperor of Morocco came to the colonies, right? So he could have came from somewhere in the middle of what we call the United States today, because that's off the colonies. He came on the colonies, right? You see how they say that? Came to the colonies. Okay. He stated that Lucy and her daughter Susanna, the mother of Martha, had freely served one servicemen for years and had always enjoyed the advantages and privileges extended by the law of the state to the class Moors of its inhabitants. So you got, like I said, I will show in the next video, a couple of people who had free Moor, but you spell M-O-O-R-E by the name of parentheses. They had like English names, like they had, some of them even had last names. And what I take from that is we're dealing with the English colony, so they ain't not going to reflect Aisha Muhammad on their census in 1790. They're going to put Kate and put Fremore in parentheses by that name on that census. And that's the first census of the United States. And down South Carolina, right where I at right now. The address is right around the area where I got better Fremores on that. Okay? So these people just probably just want to pen an affidavit in the Christianization of this colony. It's colony been the English colony. And England already had a treaty with Moors before the period of the colony. and all those treaties still in effect. The English claim everybody who speak English are in the realm of English, as English people, subjects of England. A Christian nation. While this affidavit would have allowed the English women to live without the fear of enslavement, it is important to note that Henry claimed that Lucy and Susanna had never been enslaved due to their status as Moors. Records indicate, however, that Martha's grandmother had been enslaved. A deed of manumission dated 20 June 1800 revealed that Susanna and her daughter Catherine and the daughter and granddaughter Lucy, a Moorish woman, quote unquote, let me see how you spell it different even in this book, were freed by one Sarah Smith, Charleston widow. Martha could not then claim a family line devoid of slavery. Her mother and elder sister had been both born enslaved, and unclear why Henry swore that Martha's family had heritage of free bondage. Perhaps neither he nor Martha knew the truth. What is more likely, however, is that Martha and Thomas, like other elite people of color, desired a lineage exclusive of slavery, which because a lot of them did have a lineage exclusive of slavery. A lot of them had slaves themselves. We can deal with the facts. Believing such a history set them apart from those persons whose family trees led back to slavery and all of its accompanying stigmas and shame. And it ain't really that. We all know we had people in our family tree. We got a huge family tree who suffered those cruelties. Prisoners of war, we all know we got that in our blood. But the things what we trying to see is everybody got that in their blood. Every woman of color. So they still calling her a woman of color, and then she done got an affidavit telling them who she is. Records indicate that black women from across the class spectrum sought to document their freedom and protect their families. Not all these women had black mothers. Slavery was, of course, hereditary, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, the point of the matter is this record in 1824, right? So this dealing with the treaty. This dealing with what's going on. And Henry Rutledge ain't had no problem. Henry Rutledge been the governor. He ain't had no problem. Like, oh, all right, you're Moorish American. It's 1824. That's before Noble Drew Ali. So Noble Drew Ali's come back and just say what already been going on. A lot of people don't know this one going on. But this book is a modern book written about people who go on and look and see and finding these type of shit all over. It's another book, Morocco as It Is. Go look that up. But that's the part I want to get to. They were dealing with the English council and the episode with the Swanee Man. The Swanee Man, they got people in Carolina called a Swanee. An old tribe, they got the island out there. Right? See how everything can be ambiguous. Because all we got is people going back and reading history and making up and saying what they believe shit is. So everything will be revisited with yourself. You don't want, research. The Swanee Man and the Moorish Americans. And they say that they're using this in the legation. A legation in the council, they're dealing with law. The Moorish Americans, the way he using this is ambiguously is just Moors who are nationally Americans in the modern sense. Right? Today, everybody in the world knows this continent is called America. So a Moor from this continent, nationally, would be a Moorish American. That's a good book to get into, though. There's a good bit of stuff inside there that we're going to get into in the future. Like Sir John Hay, who was that? The Swanee Man, the Goose Creek Man. The Goose Creek Man been enslaving so-called white people in the early colony days. We get into a lot of that in another video. And it's showing this right here is the American. You got the African, the Asian, the European American, and you see he got tobacco arms. That what he been knowing around the world about. Like he had that. Right? We got the village of Spain, the Spanish village in Florida. And look, You got commerce and trade. You got different flags. You got the Andalusian style house in the back. Towns. That nice little fort. I think that might be Fort Caroline. That could be anyway, because Florida been, the entire South. Some of the same rulers of Florida at the time been the ones who create New Spain and all that right next to it. And the rest of it, we get into that in more videos later too, how you can show the entire so-called Spanish Empire. But you gotta understand, everybody over here spoke a Spanish or a different form of the Old Latin, which would be all the different forms, including English. We're still using these letters, right? The alphabet. We got the Carolinas. We got the fight between the British and the Carolinas in the Yamasee War. And just more evidence of in a different time period. We got things going on that don't match up with the original story. You got these people got an army. So we know these ain't slaves from Africa who just create an army in the Carolinas. They deep back there too. And they got flags that show that it's some international shit going on. They got flags. Okay, men with Moorish blood in their veins. It has been asserted that when the Moors were driven out, thousands took refuge in the south of France, who, afterwards abhorring the Roman Catholic persecution, became Huguenots, and that of these many immigrated to the later day to South Carolina. Okay, keep that in mind. But a lot of Moors in Spain, they come to New France before they stayed at the south of France, what we know as today. Kind of New France, which had been in America at that time. Allegedly, because we don't got no map going back. At 1492, to show New France here, but we got old maps, 1500s, real old maps showing New France already here.
All right, so look at this structure right here, right? Look. Okay. So once again, I'm gonna ask somebody in the chat room, right? Where that structure right there from? The one I just showed. Oh, he said we saw the flag. All right, Juice, you got that. So the structure I just showed right here, right? Where is this one at right here, right? Let me see this one right here. I know you see Mexico right there. Look, it's a Mexico Alhambra, right? Now look, it's a Mexico Alhambra, right? Now look, listen to this shit, right? This shit is deeper than what you think it is, right? Now, they saying Mexico Alhambra, right? Do we need to click it to clarify is that Alhambra like they saying? Why are they saying Alhambra in Mexico, right? Now check this out. Check this out. I got something else for you guys if I can find it. No, let me see what you guys said about the image. Okay. Okay. It is in Mexico. So we clarify that's in Mexico, right? Now check this out. Let's go to Europe. Let's go here. Try something to compare and contrast it with. Even though you see the Corbel arches all over, right? These Corbel arches, the Corbel arches is these, right? You also can see them So something like this. That just ain't got the dome on the top of it, so I don't want to kind of look for something similar, right? But the architecture is definitely consistent with what we just seen in Mexico, right? Because that wasn't the only one; it's a whole bunch of them, right? Hold on, let's go back. All right, so look, now you wouldn't even know you was in Mexico if you seen these images right here, right? If you see these images right here, right? Same exact fucking designs, man. But we're gonna get more further into it. Right? This was done from a dissertation that a person did at the University of Bristol, right? So he's saying that this is Cortez, right? Right. This is what he's saying that he's saying, right? He's saying, curiously, many of these reference points were taken from areas subjected to heavy Moorish influence. Cortez, in his describing the marketplace of Aztec capital, right? Which I believe this is Tenochtitlan, right? Because he mentioned Tenochtitlan, right? He said he compares it to different times to Cordoba, Seville, and Granada, right? Right? Granada, once again, Granada, right? Granada, Spain, Seville, Cordoba, right? He's making a comparison, right? Saying that he see the same influence, right? It said for another conquistador, it was Taxcala, right? That was in some way like Granada, right? Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I can go in. Is it gonna take me to the other picture? All right, hold up. This is it right here. All right, here go another reference that he's referencing and saying that these places look identically, right? Look, here go another reference. Let's deal with this. All right. It said the writing of the conquistadors and missionary in the New World are littered with descriptions of Indians that allude to familiar foe. It's saying the second letter addressed to the Spanish sovereign Charles V, Hernan Cortez described the marketplace of Tenochtitlan like the silk market of Granada. Now remember, we get saying Granada in America, so we don't even know. We know that they calling it Granada over there, but we just saying Granada over here too, right? But however it go, he's comparing it to over there in Al Andalusia, right? It said another conquistador was struck by an Indians. Now look, an Indian. Remember, the Indians are Nino Indio. Them are people that's under the doctrine of discovery, right? But however it goes, say very beautiful mazes, right? Very beautiful mazes, exemplifying the tendency to compare buildings in New Spain to those constructed by Moors in Al Andalusia, right? It's saying seeking to equate the people and the architect of Mesoamerica to those of Muslims of Spain, right? So they're comparing the same goddamn thing that I'm comparing. I'm showing and proving the same goddamn thing, and we have to sit up there and say, well, wait a minute. Why would they come and see something identically in America that they see something identical in Spain, right? And like I said, man, look, I'm not asking everybody. This shit is not for everybody, right? It's definitely not for everybody, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to this information, everybody's not going to understand this shit, right? But for some people is definitely going to understand exactly where we're going with this. We just compared and contrast. We can show you images. I can even show you images in Central Park that got the same type of structures and the same Corbel arches and all of that shit. But we're going to go somewhere else with this, right? All right. So let's see. All right, so we see that Charles V or Hernan Cortez described the marketplace of Tenochtitlan as like the silk market of Granada, right? Another conquistador was struck by the very the very beautiful mazes, right? Exemplifying his tendency to compare buildings in New Spain to those constructed by Moors in Al Andalusia. So why would they be comparing the same structures? Because we doing the same thing today for those people that this shit matters to, okay? To Carnegie and the Morgans, right? The robber barons, right? He called them robber barons, right? And it's so funny that these people took over a lot of these so-called buildings or a lot of these so-called structures that was already here that our ancestors built, right? And we see Rockefeller all over. We see Rockefeller even when you get to Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Because we found out it was oil in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
And what they even when they well not just Tulsa, all over Oklahoma, the so-called 50 or more cities that was already in Oklahoma that already had oil in it. And you get Sarah Rector and all that shit. And these people was the people who was hiding up under the KKK. I just wanted to just throw that out there. That's irrelevant to kind of the build I'm doing, but we can get to that on another note. Let me go back out and mute myself, and I'm gonna play it. Peace, everybody in the chat room.
Combustion on Tartaria or Atlantis. This holds true. It was this of the Moors in Tartaria. This had already been achieved in many urban erasing, then removed from the public's eye and tasked with another cover-up, erasing all trace of Moors in Tartaria from Florida. This had already been achieved in many urban areas, but areas like Opelika were not under firm control, and many Seminole Indians lived there before Curtis arrived. Opelika.
Now Opelika, right? Where he's saying that these so-called people was Moors or whatever you want to call them, right? But now he's saying that the Seminoles lived there. But when you cross-reference this and you do the research, you also find out the Timucua was there. But they kind of erased the Timucua history as well, right? They erased that history. You don't even hear nothing about or the Timucua, however you pronounce it, right? You don't really even hear too much about them, right? But the connection is the same, right? Now check this out, right? Look, I'm gonna give you another source real quick. We're gonna go here real quick. Let me come out of here. Since we are in Florida, and since we do see which one is it? Okay, it's that one right there, right? So this one, boom. Let's go here. All right, so this is an article. Let me see if I go back out. All right, so this is actually this image. I've been showing this shit for years, and people already caught up on it, right? So this is what they call a Timucuan, right? This image right here, right? This is what they call a Timucua. And these people was in the region of Opelika as well, right? Not just Opelika, but St. Augustine, Tampa Bay, Miami, right? And other regions throughout what we call Florida. Because remember, Florida wasn't just Florida, what we know it as. Now, Florida went all the way into Texas and into the Yucatan. I think one of the maps that I showed that. But this is the image to what they say the so-called people or the Timucuans or the Moors or whatever you want to call them live there, right? Now, check this out, right? Remember, you know, some of the slander as far as this is not, it's supposed to not be a descriptive term, right? Now check this out, because I'm gonna play another video. I got a couple of videos. Where we at? Let me go back up. No, I think I'll come back down. Let me see. Where you go? No, let me go back up. All right, so we back here. So this article is about that so-called statue right there, right? And what it say at the top right here? It's saying more with emerald level Balatasar per masa sculpture, right? It said, all right, when you go down, let's go into the actual article. Some of this shit is confusing. I'm gonna go here. All right, so it's saying at the behest of Elector Augusta, should this natural wonder in the princely bull and tribal and eternal, I don't know what the fuck this say right here. It's saying be preserved. But the Baltazar Parmasar created for the expansion since 1723. Now, I don't know if this is the actual date, but they saying 1723, saying in the Nascent Treasure Museum. Now, I need to go. All right, so we back here. So this article is about that so-called statue right there, right? And what it say at the top right here, it's saying more with emerald level Balatasar Per Masa sculpture, right? It said, all right, when you go down, let's go on to the actual article. Some of this shit is confusing. You can go ahead. All right, so it's saying at the behest of Elector Augusta, should this natural wonder in princely bull and tribal and eternal, I don't know what the fuck this say right here. It's saying be preserved. But the Baltazar, Parmasar, created for the expansion since 1723. Now, I don't know if this is the actual date, but they saying 1723. Saying in the Nascent Treasure Museum. Now, I need to go there. I need to actually see if they have a database for the Nascent Treasury Museum, right? It's saying that really most original of all possible means of the presentation, right? The sculpture of a Moor, right? Now think about this. Matter of fact, now let me get finished reading and then I'll go on, right? It's in all possible means of presentation. The sculpture of a Moor, the young, powerful man in a brown lacquer pearwood and associated border on a tray of tortoise shells, present casual and smooth Colombian emerald level, is not a resident of Africa, but an Indian. Although his facial and skin colors are of a black African, but the body tattoos and the analogical exactly have him as a native of Florida. Okay, now once again, right? If this is something that's commonly known to people around the world that Moors are only from North Africa, right? So outside of North Africa, wherever you see a so-called Negro, then they should never be classified as a Moor because it should already be a fact that Moors are only from so-called North Africa, right? But once again, let's go back to it, right? I'm saying the main presentation of sculpture of a Moor. The young powerful man in the dark brown lacquer pearwood, the associated border on a tray of tortoise shells, present the casual and smooth Colombian emerald level, is not a resident of Africa, but an Indian. Although his facial features and skin color are of a black African, but the body tattoos and analogical exactly represented have him as well as a native of Florida, right? Very interesting, right? So can we find the other so-called Indians being called Moors? Let's see. And I just wanted to point that out right there, right? Because if it's so much of a fucking fact that Moors are from fucking Europe, then why the fuck is they calling? Why is they calling this man a Moor right here? Because there have to be a descriptive fucking term. There have to be a descriptive term. But me myself, this is just my personal theory, right? That term Moor go back to the ancient people. I don't even believe that this is a derogatory term in which they're calling us. I believe that term go back to the original people of this planet. That's what I believe. Was it spelled however you want to spell it? That's just my opinion of it. If people can have their opinion on it, I agree to disagree. But that's just my opinion on it. Because I'm seeing the word in too many fucking places when it's dealing with America, right? So let's go to another joint that been showing for the last couple weeks. And every time you show this, right, motherfuckers be buck dancing, right? I can show you all this shit, right? I can show you Morocco and Florida, then I can cross-reference it with the same spelling as it is over there, right? We could show you buildings in Mexico that's consistent with the same buildings in Florida, that's consistent with the same buildings in Europe, right? But wait a minute. Let's go to something else real quick. Let me jump around for a minute. So the term Moro, literally Moor, is commonly used when referring to the ancient Indians of the valley and the village, right? Now, you're going to say the Moor is a heathen. Why is he a heathen? Because he's an unbaptized so-called Indian, right? Right? So why are they saying Indians are Moors? Why would they say Indians are Moors if they know Moors are directly from fucking Spain and Portugal or Morocco or Mauritania or wherever the fuck people saying that they from, right? But this is two different sources saying that the Indians are Moors. And they not from Morocco. Well, they may be from Morocco. I showed you Morocco and Florida. Now we could sit there and we could dismiss that, right? Because every time I show this article, people dismiss it. Oh, well, how do we know that's true? All right, the shit you showing me, how can I believe that? How can I believe any of that? I can't help it if your mind, if people's mind is fixated with saying that these particular people are from somewhere else, but they did the remix single like they did everything else. They erased the history and then told you that these people was from over there. Well, like I said, even when we get into this right here, right? We'll go back over this again, right? Let's go back here, right? What would be the relations to this right here? America being the old world, right? Firstborn among all continents, right? So much later in culture and civilization than some of the more recent births. America, so far as her physical history is concerned, has been falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the water. Hers was the first shores washed up by the ocean that enveloped all the earth. Let me say that one more time. I think that shit might have went over people's head, right? And I keep going back to this shit, right? Because this is super heavyweight, and we can cross-reference this with multiple different sources. That these people is not going to give you the history in no one book. It's not going to be on no one website. It's not going to come from no one so-called class. It's not going to come from none of these places where people derive their history from or derive their information from. Okay, you have to be eclectic when it comes to the study of the Americas or the study of the Aboriginals here, because there's so much information that have been hid from us. So you have to grab your sources from multiple different sources, cross-reference them. If this is happened to me, be my level of expertise when we dealing with the ancient Americas, the structures, the architecture, the culture, a lot of the history that's over here. This is my area of expertise. You know, I can do law, I can do genealogy, I can do a lot of other shit, but this is my area of expertise right here. Cross-referencing and connecting the dots of us right here, so we can have a story that goes for our own, or we can at least say, well, you know what? I may not agree with A1 entirely, but at least he's showing sources and he is cross-referencing and showing and proving, right? Okay, so once again, read this in the last build. But a lot of stuff it has to be repetitive when it comes to this information, right? America, the old world, firstborn among the continents, right? Now, I was kind of like last time when I showed this, right? In the other part, right? I kept putting emphasis on this part right here. Firstborn, nigga. What the fuck do firstborn among the continents mean? What do that mean? Firstborn among the continents, right? Firstborn among the continents, right? Though so much later in culture and civilization than some of the more recent birth, America, so far as her physical history is concerned, has been falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the water. Hers was the first shores washed up by the ocean that enveloped all the...
The land you're standing on is Morocco. This is the flag that's been on this land over 70,000 years. From ancient Amexem, Central Old Africa is Old Amexem. That's the Yucatan area, and is referred to by the sociologists as Old Mek. That's Old Amexem. The ancient scientific complexes there, actually in Mexico. The technology took place in Mexico, and the genetic research was done, or what you call the eugenics, took place more in Patagonia. Patagonia today is called Argentina. This is where the hybrid was made that is referred to in the book of Genesis.
The Moors were from the Americas, not Africa.
Black Americans in the Americas.
Moors ain't from North Africa, Toxic Gaming. Ancient Americans settled that place that we call Iberia. They was actually Algonquin-speaking people. When they went over there, they was called Berbers, and they actually did come from the barbarous eras that we call America. They even had traditional wear when they got there, hence the turban or the head wrap with the feather on it. That is directly South Indian culture. When you find the Algonquin conquest of 11,500 years ago, those are ancient Americans that settled, made their way north, made their way south, civilizing and creating places that we call England, Europe today, creating places that we call Egypt in historical time. Fast forward, 1491, a bunch of Anglos came in, teamed up with other Slavic and northern Norwegians, people north of the Arctic Circle came in. Those particular people that established parts of Europe that you call Moors or ancient Americans that went over there first to establish, ran back and came back home. Generations in America had forgot about them, started calling these people Europeans. This is how history goes. I give it to you in a nutshell, but it gets very, very elaborate.
Was already here. The Mount
title, and I'm not saying this to everyone out there, we're just articulating this whole concept. Moor did not get invented with the Spanish and the conflict between them and the Arabs. It did not get popularized or transplanted to America with Noble Drew Ali. It has been here since Europeans first arrived. And they'll show you that with the depictions of the Timucua here in Florida. Okay, the Timucua were depicted as what are called blackamoors, or depicted in blackamoor style, these figurines, and they're exquisite figurines. And you can see how they have the gold, jewels, bling, essentially what you'd see. It reminds me of the Rick Ross song where he says, we've always liked bling. That's not new. It's just the way it's expressed is different today. You look at some of these Timucua chiefs, the Moor with the emerald cluster. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. That's an exquisite artifact, not coming out of Florida, but illustrating a Florida chief. Can I, if I share this down there at the bottom, Cujo? So this is a Florida native, and this is housed in Germany. They were reproducing these, and they're called the Moor with the emerald cluster. Now that is a Timucua chief. I believe it's Saturina. I could be wrong, but a Timucua chief, and that's jet black skin, very, very dark. And this is sort of what you'd expect to find in 1500s Florida. So not the hunter-gatherer, flint-napping, rough arrowheads in the dirt under a teepee that were shown in Hollywood, of course. This is a culture with fine taste, okay, refined metallurgy, jewels, you name it, and trade, because in Florida, some of these rich guys that they were meeting down there had jewels that only came from 1,000 miles away in America. So that indicates vast trade networks, rich trade networks. And what else? That's another model. That's a kind of like a cheaper reproduction, but the same motif. And you see something I like to see. Behind him is a palm tree. So if he's that tall, the palm tree's that small, what's going on there? But then this is the Moor with the pearl cluster. So this is the Moor with the emerald cluster. And remember, these are titled Moor with the emerald cluster, but this is a Timucua Native American chief out of North Florida, South Georgia, that area. And very rich empire. And like I said, the DeSoto expedition was going through this area. Some of the first Europeans to ever meet Floridians, we're told. And this is what they were experiencing. This is the type of people that were coming across. And, I wanted to get into the name a little bit. Feel free to stop me whenever you want and direct this.
Guess who this is? If you reside in Mary's land. Or how about Baltimore? This is Lord Baltimore. He kind of swarthy. This is my great grandfather, and I'm so excited to finally get this proof. Attention Marylanders, Baltimoreans, Lord Baltimore. He was black and he was a Moor. Where the Moors at? We taking it all back. Whoop, 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 whoop.
I see we got a lot of teaching to do. We got a lot of people running from conversations. And all I want to do is just show the proof. Why were they calling these so-called Indians Moors, Morenos, Morena, Moors, the Amuuru? Why? These are books. People who grew tobacco. Why do they call the tobacco Indians Moors? I guess a lot of people got to do more research. Stop falling in love where you at. Get out that box. Please get out that box. So many people in that box, and they stuck.
Check out these black Inca emperors from a painting in the Larco Museum in Lima, Peru circa 1800.
Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines.
Too much proof. Come on. We got too much proof. Let's go. Too much proof. Come on. We got too much proof. Let's go. Let us through, or you gon' make the news. Let's go. Let us through, or you gon' make the news. Let's go. NBC, make that make some sense. Come on. NBC, make that make some sense. Come on. Let us through, or you gon' make the news. Let's go. Let us through, or you gon' make the news. Let's go.